Hello everyone, this is the Red Riot Robot, and this is Logging September 2024. We're going to get straight into the news with Concord coming out, and it actually came out in August, and I didn't really talk about it because, I didn't really care about the game, but it did the most surprising thing ever, and died within 2 weeks, and not like just died, PlayStation took it off the market and refunded everybody, including people who bought physical, meaning they were providing full refunds to stores. I was planning to eventually do a Concord kind of story thing once it failed. Well, I say once it failed. I planned to do it when I thought it would eventually go free to play, or when they would announce that they were ending service, but this happened too fast. So the new video for Concord will come out in December when the Secret Levels episodes come out, because they still have a Concord episode for that. Doing the research on that has been kind of interesting, and there's been stuff that came out this month, but I'll be putting that all in that December video. State of Play happened, and it was okay. The best thing, obviously, is that they announced Ghost of Yotei, which is the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. But otherwise, the State of Play for Sony was alright. You got a few remaster announcements. I'm kind of interested in the Soul Reaver remasters, but that's made by Aspyr, and they don't have the best track record. I liked Hell Is Us. That looked kind of interesting. And the Arch-Age game, I think that's what it was called, Arch-Age Chronicles. There was a large amount of PlayStation VR, and I imagine if you have a PlayStation VR, this was an amazing State of Play for you, but I can't do VR because it makes me feel sick. We also got a release date trailer for Monster Hunter Wilds. That's going to be coming out in February. And we also finally got a kind of a clearer look at Dynasty Warriors Origins. I've really been kind of excited for this. I'm glad it's looking good. I said we got a clearer look. We got some good looks at it earlier this year, but for some reason it was always in Chinese. So it's nice to see it in an English language. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, that was about the news. All right, with the news covered, let's talk about what I played in this segment of First Observations. I actually got to finish Black Myth Wukong. I do recommend this game. I do have a warning. You should probably watch a recap of Journey to the West, because this game is a sequel to that story. And if you play the game, you'll eventually kind of catch on to what's going on, but it kind of treats every character as if you already know them. So just a bit of a warning there. And the only other issue I have is that I think the experience for each level could be lowered by quite a bit. But otherwise, if you want a really good action adventure game, it feels like a PS2 game, but more high fidelity with some peak boss designs. There's over 100 bosses, and there's only a handful of duds in this. I recommend it. Oh, also, for whatever reason, the game doesn't let me record with the NVIDIA software, which is weird because they're partnered with NVIDIA. So you're going to be getting footage that is not Black Myth Wukong, because I am lazy and I do not feel like getting something specific right now just for Black Myth. I also played Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, just the main campaign. It is very good. I think it is a huge improvement, mechanics-wise, to the first game. I also think that the way they handle the chaos element in the latter half, similar to the first game, is a lot better. The only kind of real complaint I have about the story is that I prefer the orcs from the first game to the Tyranids in this game. The Tyranids are just bugs, so they don't have a personality. And orcs are really fun, especially when you get an orc that's Space Marine. And it's just fun having a guy beef with you all game long. After that, I started playing through Final Fantasy XVI. So far, my feelings towards this game are it's very good. Clive Rosefield is probably the best protagonist we've had since Cloud. I'm hoping it stays that way. I do really like the combat. This is probably the best RPG combat mixed with character action I've had in a very long time. I also played Lollipop Chainsaw Repop. Couple of things. First of all, I think that the amount that they're charging for this is way too much. Do not buy this full price. Buy it for like $15. Overall, some people have had some issues. I didn't, so maybe wait a little bit before you get it as well. I've always found this to be like one of the weakest games by Grasshopper Manufacturing, but I still enjoy it quite a lot. The biggest issue with this remake is that the licensed music couldn't be gotten back for it. The biggest problem is the song that would play when Juliet Star goes into her super mode. In the original was Hey Mickey, and it's really weird not to hear that song in this game when you go into super mode. The song that they made to replace it isn't bad, but if you played the original, it is really off. It's just so off. Like, I listened to it on its own. It's not bad. It's just like kind of a different tone. It's weird. But otherwise, if you like Lollipop Chainsaw, you probably already got it. If you are kind of hesitant, I would say wait for a big sale on this. And finally, the big game I've actually kind of been interested in, I didn't realize it was coming out in September, was an indie project called UFO 50. UFO 50 is a collection of 50 retro-style games made by, I think it's 5 indie developers, or like it's like 3 indie developers and a couple of old hat devs from like Nintendo, and they made basically 50 NES games, or 50 games from the 80s. And when I say games, I mean games. Like, they come off, like the first 10 games, I haven't gotten to the 50, are very reminiscent of that early 80s where a lot of games were like inspired by arcade stuff. And so you have a bunch of rather short but simple arcade style games. And so far there hasn't been any really bad games. I look forward to finishing all of these, and I might do a full review of this once I at least get a gold cartridge for each of the games. There are 2 ways to beat it. The first is the gold way, which is the simple goal, and then there's the cherry cartridge, which is a beating it but doing it in a much harder way. And that's about all I played for this month. I've been playing quite a lot, I guess, compared to previous months, but I've been having a good time. And I think it's on to move to what I'm looking forward to in October. The first thing that I'm looking forward to, Metaphor ReFantazio, made by Atlas. I think it's like the first new IP they've had since Catherine. And so I'm kind of interested to play it, and it doesn't look like they want this to be a one-off thing, and I think it'll be interesting to see. The only other thing I'm very interested in is Shadows of the Damned Hella Edition, which is going to be coming out on the 31st, so I could probably classify it as a November release, but it's still technically October. I love Shadows of the Damned, and this is being handled by Grasshopper Manufacturer themselves, and they're even adding some stuff, and I think it's going to be like $25, so I'm looking forward to that. Outside of that, I'm just going to be using this month to catch up on my backlog. And that's about all that's going on. Oh wait, what about Tokyo Game Show? Well, I'm going to be doing a podcast with a few friends called Gaming Academy on GQ Asian Dudes Twitch that I'll have linked in the description. That's all for this month. It's been a fun ride this month. I'm glad I didn't have to do any technicals. Everyone have a good day. This is the Red Riot Robot signing off.